Joining us for a Kudlow face-off, two of our favorite political insiders. We have Brad Woodhouse, Communications Director, Democratic National Committee, and Sean Spicer, Republican National Committee with the same job. Okay, gentlemen, thank you. Brad, I go to you first, as I always do, in the spirit of fairness and equal-handedness, if there is such a word. But here's the thing. Your ad says go. I say now. This is going to be judged on the now economy. Stagnant wages, stagnant jobs, a sputtering economic recovery. I think you're in a pickle, old buddy. What are you going to do about it?
Well, look, I think the ad speaks for itself, and quite frankly, Larry, I think the results speak for itself. I mean, no one thinks that we're going as fast as we want to. But you know what? We're a heck of a lot better off than we were losing 800,000 jobs a month. And I heard you talk about the GDP growth in the last quarter. Look, the last quarter of the Bush administration that declined at an 8.6% rate, an 8.6% decline. So I think we would rather have growth than decline, creating jobs rather than losing jobs. And so, you know, we're headed in the right direction. We want to get there faster, and we would if Republicans in Congress, who Mitt Romney has pledged...
We're all right. I was waiting to see how long the blame took. I knew the blame was going to get in there real quick.
Larry, can I finish? Can I finish?
Please finish, then I got to get Sean in. Sean's itching to go, Brad. He's itching to go.
If Republicans in Congress who have pledged to rubber stamp Mitt Romney's agenda would instead work with the President to create jobs, we would be accelerating this recovery. They've stood in the way, the Republicans in Congress.
Sean, he got his bullet out. Now, I want to ask you this. One of the key Democratic talking points is running against George Bush. Not just the fourth quarter of 2008, but really running against something called George Bush's third term, Sean Spicer. Is that going to work? How do Republicans respond to George W. Bush's third term?
Well, I think we respond by saying George Bush is not on the ballot. Barack Obama is. He's been president for 3.5 years. He had a supermajority in the Congress that he could get anything he wanted done. He did, in terms of the stimulus, health care, and numerous other things. And now that things haven't turned out the way they wanted, and again, I think the one thing that the Democrats don't like that we do is we say we're just going to hold them accountable to Barack Obama's own standard. When he was elected in 2008, he said, if I don't have this fixed in one term, it's a one-term proposition. He said the question for America is, are you better off 4 years from now than you were 4 years ago? And I think now they're saying, well, we're getting better. It's not there yet. Too many Americans are. They can't even. They're having trouble meeting their own standard. It's not the RNC standard. It's not Republican standard. It's not Mitt Romney standard. They constantly want to turn around and say it's Mitt Romney, it's George Bush, it's the Republicans in the House. They've got to acknowledge the reality of history. They controlled Congress for 2 years with everything, not a simple majority. The whole deal.
Larry, what is Sean suggesting? Is he suggesting, Sean, let me ask you, are you suggesting that losing 800,000 jobs a month is better? Are you suggesting that a decline of GDP of 8.6% in the fourth quarter, hold on, let me finish, of 2008 is better? Of course we're better off than we were 4 years ago. And by the way, to your question, Larry,
wait, not 4 years. I'll give you.
Romney has surrounded himself with, guess what? The Bush economic advisors, Hubbard, Mankiw, that presided over the worst economic performance since the Great Depression.
Go ahead, Sean.
So
Go ahead, Sean.
Since we have the worst
Romney's
labor
term. I mean, George Bush's third term that Romney's running for.
Brad, you got it. If you let me get my point in here. Since we have the worst labor participation rate since 1981. More Americans are choosing not to work. They've given up because this president's policies have failed them. When you start asking people, are your kids going to be better off? Do you think your prospects for looking for a job next year are better? They all say no.
You're suggesting that things were better in the fourth quarter of 2008 than they are today.
I actually have a different point of view. I'm suggesting it's right here in 2012 that's going to be the referendum on President Obama's economy. And right now, as I said at the outset, Brad, you're in a pickle. But I want to ask you this. In the ads released for the so-called swing states, you don't mention Obamacare and you don't mention the spending stimulus. Those are President Obama's signature achievements. Why? Did you forget or what?
It was
George Bush's fault.
Was this amnesia? Was this amnesia, Brad Woodhouse, or what?
No, Larry, we spent, I'll give you an example. The campaign, the DNC spent millions on mail, you've seen it, around health care, around the anniversary of that being signed. mind. We talked about, we were really, in some ways, in the mail, we were advertising on health care before we were advertising on these things. So we're not going to shy away from those things at all. This was one ad. It was one ad. There are going to be many more, a lot more than Sean is going to wish to see, where we'll be talking about all types of things. So no, there was no reason other than, you know,
right,
we're going to have a lot of ads to talk about.
I got one for Sean. I want to be even handed. Sean, I noticed in the Ed Goaz Celinda Lake battleground poll, Mitt Romney had only a tiny lead on the economy. Most people would have thought, in view of the stagnant economy, Mitt Romney would have a big lead. That's his big argument, that he is better qualified. Why are they virtually even on the economy? Does that mean you got a lot more work to do, Sean Spicer?
Well, I think right now, Mitt Romney's been the presumptive nominee for 10 days. I think he is now out there. He's in Michigan today. He's talking about these issues.
He's been running for 6 years.
Okay, Brad.
He's been running for 6 years.
You've been governing for 3 years and you haven't done it.
He's been running for 6 years.
He's campaigning. He was focused on winning a Republican primary. He is now going out to battleground states talking about his plans to fix the economy, his record of achievement, and I think you're going to see that lead widen.
So
you saw already a 10-point lead among independents.
What's his plan to fix the economy, Sean? What's his plan to fix the economy that's different than what George Bush did?
Real quick.
What's his plan?
I think he's got, he's got real experience in the economy, putting businesses back together. He knows how to fix problems. Everything that Mitt Romney has done, from being governor to the Salt Lake Olympics to his business experience, has been focused on identifying problems, turning around, and getting things moving in the right direction. That's what he wants to do for his country.
I have to leave it there. Brad Woodhouse.
If you want 47th out of 50
you got the first question. Sean Spicer got the last question.
At least he created jobs.
In between, I tried to ask good questions of both of you. I appreciate it. I love having you guys. It's a great debate. It is illuminating and informative. Brad Woodhouse and Sean Spicer.
Thanks, Larry.